One of the best aspects of having a YouTube channel focused around movies, series, and video game reviews is finding a hidden gem, a movie that might not have caught mainstream attention, and being able to spread knowledge about it to pay off the hard work that so many people must have put into it. The Bombardment is one of those movies, and it is one I really want you to watch for many reasons. But as always, guys, before we get into that review, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed, and please do consider subscribing, as those are the two main ways you can help support my channel right here at Adlib Talk. Cheers, and let's get right into that review. The rise of streaming websites like Netflix has greatly helped the spread of movies like The Bombardment. I personally couldn't imagine how I could have ever heard of this movie if it wasn't for Netflix. Anyways, The Bombardment is a Danish World War II drama directed by Ole Bornedal, who also took care of the screenplay. It was produced by Jonas Allen and Peter Bose. It is based on a true story. It is 1945 and the Allies plan a direct strike on one of Copenhagen's most important centers of Nazi power. The target of the raid was the Shellhus. It is interesting to note that it was members of the Danish resistance movement themselves, which was at that point on the verge of defeat, who requested an attack. It was a risky one, especially due to the location right in the crowded city center. In fact, as we see during the movie, one of the reconnaissance mosquitoes hit a lamppost and crashed into the Jeanne d'Arc school, which was quite close to the target. The fires in the school led to bombers from the second and third wave to think that that was their target, and thus this led to the death of 86 school children, together with numerous nuns and teachers. It is a truly shocking tale. And to think that something like this happened is just another example of the horrible consequences of war, which is obviously quite topical right now as we see what is going on in Ukraine. The movie itself takes its time to develop the story and a number of characters. We get to know different school children, nuns, freedom fighters, and the airmen themselves. The character who receives the most development is Henry, acted by Bertram Bisgard and Evoldsen. He experiences a horrific attack on a number of women who were shot at mistakenly by the British Air Force. A consequence of seeing this tragedy is that he is unable to speak and struggles to walk outside due to PTSD. We also get to see Fanny Leander Bornedal as Sister Teresa, a young nun whose faith in God is at an all-time low due to the events happening in World War II. We get to see her attempt to discover God again and discover her faith again as she tries to see if God truly exists. And in the process of this, she meets Frederick, acted by Alex Ho Anderson, a member of the HIPO, who's also struggling with the realization that the Nazi occupation of Denmark is coming to an end. And with that is any hopes of him surviving if he stays in Copenhagen. All this, together with the backstories of other kids involved in the attack, means that we've got a lot of characters to follow. And yeah, you might be thinking, isn't that too much? And yes, I agree. It is far too many characters to keep track of, and far too many characters to be able to empathize with all of them. I would have much preferred to have had maybe one or two characters focused on primarily. There was no need for such overindulgence. Another struggle I also had in the movie was a lot of the writing for the first 40 to 50 minutes of the story, up to the start of the bombing. The The movie started by making me care about Henry in a beautifully shot scene that depicted the horrors of war through the killing of a number of innocents. The movie does take its time to get into the traumas faced by Henry and his struggles to speak, and I loved that this movie showed how war can have such an impact on innocent people. Unfortunately, a lot of movie time here was also spent with Sister Teresa in a weird storyline involving Frederick, the member of HIPO that I previously mentioned. This storyline was not necessary and did not at all add anything to the movie. Quite the contrary, I felt the emotional resonance here fell flat when compared to how powerful Henry's story was. I would have much preferred seeing just Sister Teresa spend more time with the kids as well as focusing entirely on her struggles with her fate. Once the bombings start, however, I definitely cannot say anything negative about the movie. The plane scenes are beautifully shot. I was especially impressed by the camera work. In truth, the cinematography throughout is a joy to behold. There are a lot of shaky cam moments during this movie, but I do feel they were appropriate given the action going on screen, such as on the plane as it descends down into the school. These shots are impressive, not only for how well and how clear it all looks, but also due to the ability to develop tension. This is a movie which will have you on your toes throughout the second half of its screen time. I also enjoyed a number of tracking shots throughout the movie that never felt self-indulgent, but simply helped enhance the viewer's experience, especially in emphasizing the dramatic moments. All in all, I think The Bombardment is triumphant in its objective. I thought that the development of the children in the story, especially Henry and Rigmor, was extremely effective. Henry's PTSD helps add to the emotional impact of his actions later on in the movie. I also must say that I loved Rigmor's optimism throughout. It's great to see kids acting like kids in a movie, and I thought that that contrasted very well with Henry. On the other hand, not all the storylines hit properly. The movie tries to chew far too much. I have a fleeting suspicion that some characters were even named. The bombers and the freedom fighters are two good examples. However, despite this, The Bombardment is a movie that I personally highly recommend due to how visually beautiful it is and how well it captures the destruction caused by war, but also because of some great performances by actors like Fanny Bornedal and Bertram Bisgard. I also must mention that the soundtrack is stunning and one you might not notice during the movie except for its very powerful ending, but that fits perfectly with the tone of the movie. It has a very strong emotional impact and be ready for some tears. My rating for The Bombardment is a very strong 3.5 out of 5.
The target is the Gestapo headquarters in the center of Copenhagen.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that review, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like on this video and please do consider subscribing. Those are the two main ways you can help support my channel. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next time right here on Adlib Talk.